up. Get ready. It's going to be a very, very intense journey.
Begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 23 of Frame Skip, your weekly video game podcast where we get together and talk about random stuff, whether it's games or comics or anime or whatever it may be. I'm your co-host for the night, Austin Eller. I'm joined, of course, by, what did we go with? The keeper of the role, Seth Slakehouse. I don't even remember what your nickname is.
Howdy hoorah, Austin.
How's it going, Seth?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I switched a day shift last week, so that's been going well. I feel a lot better. I'm having a problem though, where I get anxiety before I go to bed about not sleeping, and then I can't sleep. So I don't know what to do about that situation.
Dude, okay, so occasionally, obviously being in radio, we sometimes have crazy shifts. So like this Sunday, I had to be in the office at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I live an hour away. So I had to wake up at 4. And so I tried to go to bed really early the night before, and naturally I'm laying there for like 4 hours until like midnight, like freaking out because I have anxiety about going to sleep.
Yep. That's how that works, dude.
It's the worst. It's the worst.
You'll just lay there and you'll be like, boy, I hope I go to sleep soon. And your brain's like, oh, do you worry? Are you worried?
Yeah.
You're going to sleep soon. Guess what, pal? I hate it, dude. But it's going well. I've been taking melatonin a lot, so I've been just passing out.
Yeah, and I'm sure
will.
eventually you'll get on schedule.
I bought this alarm clock, and it's got a bulb in it, and it simulates the sun rising. And dude, this thing gets so bright that it lights up my entire room. But I put it right next to my face, and I have like no choice but to wake up. Like I physically can't fall back asleep after my alarm goes off in the morning. This thing's it's like someone's shining one of those deer spotlights right in my eyes. It's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool. I've seen those things before. We use the oh god, it's gonna be hard to say this because there's one in this room, but we have an Alexa in our bedroom, so we use the alarm on there, and you have to obviously like tell it by voice to turn off. So you kind of have to wake up a little bit for that too.
That's a good idea. I remember when I first got my phone. I know you had the same issue. The Galaxies were not doing their alarms.
Yeah,
they were just completely skipping them. I missed like four work days because my alarm didn't go off.
No, I missed a shift at work, and it was one of those early ones. It was one where I had to be there at 5:30, and I completely missed it, and it was awful because somebody was relying on me to run his show, and there was no one there. So
completely broke my trust in alarms on the phone now. So now I have to set like 18 of them in order to believe that they're actually going to go off.
What I do now, just because I still don't trust it, is I use the Samsung clock app, like the standard one that comes on our phones. I use that, and I downloaded like the Google one, and I set two alarms. Yeah, so I'm like, if the Samsung one for some reason doesn't work, I have the other one, hopefully.
Yeah, it completely broke our trust in the alarms on our phone, and now I don't use the alarm alone. I use the timer app as well. So I have a timer counting down for like the 7 hours or whatever it is I'm asleep.
Yeah,
it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. Speaking of nightmares, Coach.
Yes.
You've been gone for like 2 months. How's it going?
Oh, it's been going pretty good. Busy, but going good.
Yeah?
Yes,
sir. What have you been doing?
So I decided to pitch a tent over at Best Buy about 7 weeks ago and wait in line for the Super Nintendo Switch Pro Maximus Edition that's supposedly supposed to be revealed here in the next 10 to 20 months. So I thought I'd get a leg up on everybody. But no, I just had military training last month. And then right when I got back, teachers went to work a couple weeks before students did. So just been doing that. So it's been really hectic, but a good hectic because, we're working and working a lot of hours. So I'm at school. Kids are at home. My students are at home. But we went through, last week was our first week back, and it was hellacious. It was like my first day teaching again because everything's different. The way we do things, all of the admin overhead crap that, you have to do for every job.
Yep.
And so this week has been a little bit better because now I see how things went. So
for when you're teaching online, do you use Zoom or what do you?
Well, we use Teams. So Zoom and Teams, like Zoom is on its own, but it's by Microsoft. But Teams has a streaming app.
Yeah.
So we use the one in Teams because you could just integrate it into your calendar, and the kids, all they have to do is go to their calendar and click on.
Yeah.
So,
I was just curious because I think it was yesterday. Zoom was down like all morning. So, and obviously a lot of school districts are using Zoom. So I was kind of curious if you had any experience with that yesterday. But
no.
Yeah, I've used Microsoft Teams a lot and Zoom, and Teams seems to be a bit more, have a bit more functionality, I'd say. So,
Anyway. There's more functionality because there's so much. It's like its own operating system, kind of like it is its own suite. Like what, you have Microsoft Office, which has Excel, PowerPoint, all of those suites.
Yep.
Teams has like so much stuff that is all integrated, and no one really used it until, the pandemic started for us in March, and we were forced to communicate and work and be productive. So Microsoft probably, is earning $1 gazillion off of this. So.
Oh, I'm sure. Seth, what have you been playing in the last week?
Really, the last week? I guess last 2 weeks. I pretty much just been playing Final Fantasy 14. That's it, dude.
Nice.
Patch 5.3 came out, and I've just been... I finally, got my computer set up with Final Fantasy 14, and I've just been sinking all my time into that. And let me tell you, Final Fantasy 14, I still believe, greatest Final Fantasy game of all time. And Shadowbringers is the best expansion thus far. And the ending of 5.3, which I just finished today, made me cry. Made me cry like a little baby.
Nice.
And it was really sad. And man, just the story of Final Fantasy 14 never gets old to me. Just the dust to diamonds type of story that they have there, where the game was a failure, and then they turned it around, listened to fan feedback for years and years and years, and they just keep polishing this game, and it's just getting better. Like a lot of games, kind of hit a peak and level off, but Final Fantasy 14 just keeps getting better. They have something really special there because they really truly listen to player feedback, whereas a lot of other companies and developers, I feel like, don't. They think they know better than the fans and what they want. And sometimes they do, sometimes the fans don't always know what they want, but for the most part, in Final Fantasy 14, the things that really annoy people and things that people want changed, they do end up getting changed. And they just keep making this game better and better and better, which is pretty amazing because their other World of Warcraft, it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And it's a really interesting thing that's going on right now, because I feel like World of Warcraft is still viewed as like the king of MMOs, but over the last few years, Final Fantasy has completely overtaken them and become way more popular, and people don't even really realize it. So I need you to get back in there, Austin.
I know. I was going to say, I really want to get back in. Andie and I started playing it, I want to say, right before COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we just got busy with school or something. I don't know. But we stopped playing. I think we got, I had just made a new class on my old character. So my character, I think I had beaten Heavensward, I think was where I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
But she was running through the original story. I think she was up to Garuda. So we were decently far in. I mean, I know there's tons more to go after that as far as expansions and stuff go. But
well, they just crunched a Realm Reborn story too, so it's not as long.
Yeah,
so that's really nice.
And if I'm not mistaken, they fixed the whole 400 fetch quest things in between.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
Realm Reborn and Heavensward. Yeah,
they pretty much got rid of all the useless quests, so that's pretty nice.
Because I think honestly that's kind of what killed that game for me when it was in the first couple of years of it. Not that I don't love it. I think it's probably one of my top 10 games of all time. But when I got to there and Heavensward came out and all that stuff, it was like slogging through all that mess that really kind of put me off.
And the really unfortunate thing about that is that the story in those patches is actually really, really incredible if you pay attention to it. But for most people, they just skipped through it because they were sick of all the fetch quests.
Yep.
But I will say, I would kind of like to go back and give it another shot with this crunch, because I did pay attention back then, and it was you're right, it was such a slog. But I'm still on Lamia, still on our OG server.
Nice.
And I know Fancy and Rev and those guys all started playing, and they decided to play on Elijah's server, thinking that he was like a super active player, but he's not.
Yeah.
So now they're all mad.
Well, I think I'm on their server too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Because now they're all mad because they're like, because I'm playing and I'm super high level and I'm doing the end game stuff, and I'll be in like Discord chat with them. And I'll be like, yeah, it's a shame you have a tank. You decided to go to Elijah's server, not mine, knowing I still play the game. That sucks, guys.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, because obviously I've been a little more busy right now, but working 2 jobs, it's just been hard to find time for anything. But I think once I start full time, I'm thinking maybe this fall I'll try and get back into it. Andie and I have been getting, which I'll get into in a minute, but we've been getting back into Monster Hunter some, so that's been taking up our time right now. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens with the game moving forward with Final Fantasy. I know, because Shadowbringers was last summer, right? It was about a year ago.
Yeah, about a year ago. So this was the final patch for Shadowbringers. I don't know if you know how this works, but like every major patch, they give more of the story.
Yeah.
So this was the final patch for the Shadowbringers story, and then the next big patch we'll get is the pre-patch, the next expansion.
Nice.
So and
cool.
The other interesting thing about this is that Shadowbringers finishes the story that was set up in the post patches for A Realm Reborn. So like nice. they set up all this story back then, and Shadowbringers finally closed out that story, and now we're progressing into a new story.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's really good, man.
I really, really adore that game. So and I didn't realize, by the way, sorry, I know we're talking about this game a lot, but I didn't realize there was a new game plus. I didn't know that was the thing. So
they added that earlier in the year, so now you can go back and play all the old stories again if you want, which is really neat.
So I might do that whenever I get back into it. So
yeah, dude, for sure.
But cool, Coach. I know you've been busy, but I know you have at least one game you want to talk about. So what have you been playing, Coach?
So over the last however long since I've been on, I've had 20 minutes to play video games in a month and a half or whatever. But that 20 minutes was spent on the Vader Immortal. Okay, now let me tell you about getting my quest. So I ordered the quest. It finally came online, and I bought it, but they only sent the link, right? Because I bought the quest and the link. So it took almost 2 weeks to get my quest after I got the link. So that was a little bit frustrating. So I finally got it, and I booted up Vader Immortal like immediately. You set it up and everything like that. And let me tell you what, and I've been dying to talk to you, Seth, about this, because I know you played it.
Yeah,
but
dude, for sure.
I'm going to say this, and I told you a couple of times, Austin. If you are legitimately afraid of heights, I don't know what episode 2 and 3 is, but the first episode is going to mess with you because you're in Mustafar and you got to traverse his castle, right?
Yep.
And you are thousands of feet up. I mean, you are so high up, and you feel it too. And I had to take my goggles or the headset off just to remember that is just virtual reality, and I'm not really that high up. But when I put it back on, within seconds, you lose all sense of reality. It is just mind-boggling at how that game plays.
Yeah, the quest is really impressive. And I just wanted to add on to this real quick, Coach, because it's got no chords, and the only limitation is the size of the room you set. So you can actually move around in the game in that sphere that you set in the game, and you can also move with the analog sticks as well. But I get a really interesting sensation when I play the quest, which is that even when I take it off after playing for long periods of time, it's like my mind is blending reality in the game, and it doesn't go away immediately. It takes maybe 20 minutes. It's really strange.
Right. So, that in itself was just wild. And then you're on this little turbo lift because you're crossing this big, what is it, kind of like a canyon or something like that inside the mountain wherever Vader is in Mustafar.
Yeah.
And
canyon.
Yeah. And the stormtroopers are firing at you, and you're moving, and I'm bending down as low as I can. Okay. Picture a 6'3" guy bending down because he's scared of heights, right? Because you see what's below you, and you're trying to dodge you're trying to reflect these the whatchamacallits from the stormtroopers, their shots. And man, it is such a wonderful experience. You really feel like when you go into light speed, like, oh, so that's what it's like, And the last thing I want to say about this is the first time that you meet Vader, he walks right up to you, and he's like probably 7 foot. I mean, I would say he's up there. And all I could think of is the Anakin that I picture in the Clone Wars animated series. Like, that's him, and my heart just like kind of sunk, like emotional. I had an emotional moment when I met Vader face to face. I'm like, oh my God, he trained Ahsoka, I'm like, it was just, It was an amazing experience that I think every video game or just any Star Wars fan in general should be able to experience. It is amazing.
See,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, finish your thought.
No, I just say I wasn't going to tell you, but there's some really cool parts to the story that is amazing. So, and I know that 2 and 3 have even bigger parts, so I'm looking forward to those.
Yeah, I need to go back and finish Vader Immortal. Rochelle has my Oculus Quest right now. I let her borrow it. But my first reaction when Vader walks up to you is I was like, "Oh, I get it now," because in the world of Star Wars, Vader is supposed to be like this very imposing, frightening character, And I never really got that from him. I'm like, he kind of looks like a little lame and whatnot. But when he walks up to you in the game, you really get that presence from Darth Vader, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, this dude is absolutely horrifying, and he's huge, and like you just get the idea like you're helpless in front of this giant Jedi killer, like this old master that's killed countless Jedi, and like you're just scum of the earth to him. You're absolutely nothing. But it's a really, really cool game. It's a really cool experience. I'm glad it's coming to PlayStation VR so more people can experience it. But I really do think Quest is the way to go because you're free of cords, you're free of restrictions. You can just set a giant space and walk around in it, and it's really, really cool, man. Like that Vader Immortal is a really great game.
And even though the resolution isn't the best of the other ones, it was still good. Like, I wasn't watching it being like, oh man, that doesn't look, I wasn't focused on that. Yeah. I was just blown away. I haven't used the link yet. So I think in a couple of weeks when we have our long weekend for Labor Day, I'm going to get into the modding part, which is like the original Doom, Doom 2, Doom 3, because those, now I think you could still download those to the Quest, so I'm not sure, but I do want to mess around with the link because October is when Squadrons comes out, and so now I'm going to start looking for a really good joystick and throttle.
Now, I'll tell you what, Coach, as far as Vader Immortal goes, I don't know if you've tried it or not, but I really recommend going into the training dojo, and everyone that had talked about the game, and I agree, says that's like the real meat and potatoes of the game. Like the training dojo, you get these bots that go up in difficulty, and you get your lightsaber, and it's like basically a giant combat exercise. And it's really, really neat. You can choose your lightsaber colors and whatnot depending on what you've unlocked. It's really cool.
Nice. Well, I need to play it at some point. I really want to try it out. I think I was telling Coach earlier this morning, I think what I'm going to do is potentially wait until Quest 2 or something of that sort comes out. Because I really like the idea of Quest because of the no wires thing. That was my biggest kind of problem with PSVR when I owned it, is the fact that it literally took like 5 to 10 minutes to set up anytime I wanted to use it. And I was just not a fan of that. So
right. I also hate that concept.
I really want to play Vader Immortal and certainly Squadrons when it comes out. I think they both look awesome.
And I just think that when they developed Squadrons, I think they developed it for VR in mind.
Yeah, it seems like it, because it seems like it's kind of based around that Battlefront VR mission that was on PSVR in Battlefront 1, which was just incredible. I mean, it was the best thing I had played in VR. So I can't imagine playing Squadrons on a screen. I feel like that game needs to be played in VR from what I've seen. So
Yeah, I agree, and I'm really glad that it's getting Oculus support because I'm gonna get my link and I'm gonna sit here at my computer and I don't even like flight sims or flying games, but I'm definitely gonna play that with the VR, dude. 100%. Take that to the bank.
So as for me, I haven't had a whole lot of time. It's been a pretty busy week, and I think I had said before, but I was gone on vacation, so that was a nice little break. But I didn't play anything while I was gone. But Andie and I have been getting back into Monster Hunter, as I mentioned earlier, Monster Hunter World, obviously. We actually, I think it was last night, we sat down and finally beat Iceborne. So we did that finally after having the game since launch. But I think we're both kind of really getting back into it. My big problem, both of our problems really, is for us to play together, we like to sit in the office because we both have our desk setups, and we sit in here and play just on our monitors respectively. But I think the problem is by the time we're at work all day long and, we both sit at desks all day long, it's kind of like hard for us to find motivation to continue sitting in here and playing more games. But I think Monster Hunter is kind of pulling us back in. So I'm excited to keep playing more of that. We beat Zinogre earlier, which is my favorite monster in the series. So I really enjoyed that fight.
It's really, really good. I'm really glad I played Monster Hunter World. I got to jump into Iceborne. I bought Iceborne. I just never got into playing it.
Dude, just let us know. I mean, like I said, we've been playing more. So yeah, I'd love to play more Monster Hunter with you guys. I think you'll really enjoy the stuff in Iceborne. I think it's far more challenging and rewarding too, I'd say. So
yeah, because the armor gift that you get at the beginning of the world now makes the game completely like not challenging whatsoever. I think I've died like twice.
Yeah, and it was nice, I guess, that you were able to blow through the game like that, but it does kind of suck that you didn't really get the experience that, like I had when I played the game for the first time. So
right.
But you'll get it. You'll get it with Iceborne. You'll get that grind. So but I did want to bring up we bought Torchlight 2 on Switch.
Oh, that's a good game.
Which, yeah, I honestly, I didn't really know much about it, but it was on sale for like $10, I think. And I found out it came out around the same time as Diablo 3 originally. And I guess a lot of people played that game instead of Diablo 3 because Diablo 3 was obviously a disaster at launch. But I was kind of curious. I've played a lot of Diablo 3. I wanted to try something different. So we've been playing that co-op on the Switch, and it's a panic button port. So they're the team that did Doom and Wolfenstein and all that stuff on Switch. So they're really good at porting, and it definitely shows because this game runs at 60 frames per second, looks really good. So plays great. But that's really all I've been playing is those two games. But
I was gonna say, yeah, Torchlight's a great co-op game.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And we played a lot of Diablo together, Andie and I. So we were trying to find something similar, and it's really filling that niche right now.
I'll tell you what, dude, if you guys like those style games and you're not opposed to something a little slower, Divinity 2 is really incredible too. It's basically D&D but in video game form. But the combat is a lot slower.
So I've wanted to try this game because I've heard that same kind of thing is like if you enjoy Diablo, Torchlight kind of games, like you said, I know it's different, but if you enjoy those kind of games, it's also a really good co-op kind of RPG. So I definitely want to check it out. I've heard phenomenal things about those two games.
Yep.
That might be next on the list for us.
All right.
But anyway, enough of the games. Let's get into some news. Seth, why don't you start us off? Because I'm most excited about your topic.
Yeah, so originally when I wrote it down, I was just going to talk about Gotham Knights, but I think there's been so much DC news this week that maybe we should just talk about the DC event in general, and
okay with that.
And what our whole overarching thoughts were, because I came into this with bare bones expectations. Now I didn't watch or do any. I don't know if they had like a conference or anything like that, or maybe they just released tidbits of information. But I basically caught up on all the trailers, all the news and stuff they talked about. And I gotta say, guys, I'm coming in to this very hopeful for DC in the next few years. I guess we'll talk about the biggest news that they talked about this week, which was the trailer for The Batman.
Yep.
Which I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I was blown away. I still don't like Robert Pattinson, and I think her name's Zoe. I don't know her last name. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I can tolerate her a little more. I hate her outfit, but I can tolerate her a little more than Robert Patterson. Pattinson.
I don't remember.
Twilight guy.
Mr.
Yeah.
Robert.
Sparkly.
Now here's the thing though, is that I think he looks really, really good in the bat suit, but I don't like the way he looks out of the bat suit. With the long hair and the slim frame. I just listen, Bruce Wayne is supposed to be the strongest normal human on Earth. And this has been backed up by Superman.
Yep.
And he should not be skinny. That's what made Ben Affleck's Batman so good, was that he took all the steroids and got jacked and huge, and it felt like Batman. But I think the gritty nature and the realistic nature of the movie they're going for, it reminds me sort of like a Christopher Nolan approach, but a lot more aggressive, a lot more dark, a lot more Batman. He definitely feels more like a Batman, where I think the Christopher Nolan movies felt more like a James Bond movie. The vibe I get from this is we're going to see a real dark adaptation, a really angry adaptation. They said it's basically year 2 of Batman. So I really like that idea. It seems like the Riddler and maybe even the Joker are going to have something to do with it. I don't know how you guys feel. I really hope that if they do the Joker, it's not the Joker from the movie we saw last year. I think that, like, just leave that alone. Don't
mean the Suicide Squad one?
No, the Joker.
What is
the
it?
Joker
Joaquin
movie.
Phoenix.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think that was just a one-off. I don't think they're going to.
Yeah, and I would like for that to just stay a one-off. And you know what?
Did you like that one? Did you like that Joker?
I thought the movie was amazing. I only needed to see it once. It was too depressing. It's a very depressing movie. I'll never watch it again.
I still have not watched it, but I've heard that comment from everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an amazing movie. It's not a movie that I'm going to go out of my way to watch, just because it's so depressing and sad. But I'm sick of seeing the Joker and everything, man. Like, I was really hoping when I watched this trailer that it was just going to be the Riddler, and that was going to be the main boss, because the Riddler has a really good edge on Batman, that he's legitimately smarter than Batman. He makes these puzzles and whatnot, and you can make a really good movie about the Riddler. And then I saw, and I'm hoping that we just get like that random squad that's idolizing the Joker. I really don't want to see the Joker in this movie.
Yeah.
But what did you guys think of the trailer?
I thought it looked phenomenal. I was, first off, I want to say I was shocked that we even got a trailer, considering they came out and said this movie is a quarter done filming. Like, they have filmed a quarter of this movie. Which
Did they specifically say filming?
Yeah, they've only filmed 25% of the movie. Okay.
As of this last weekend?
Yeah. So, which I don't even know how they made a trailer out of that, to be honest. But either way, that aside, I think it looks phenomenal. I actually, something about the way Robert Patterson, whatever his name is.
I'm looking this up. We can't.
Something about the way he looks really reminded me of Terry McGinnis.
Yeah, I agree.
I really got that vibe from him, so I thought that was pretty neat. But
it is Pattinson.
Okay.
Pattinson.
It's called Patty Boy.
There's no G, there's no ER. It's Pattinson.
Robert Patty.
Robert Patty Cakes.
RP.
Oh, Patty Cakes.
I loved the dark, gothic kind of feel. I think, we got some kind of darker Batman films with the Nolan stuff, but this is still obviously drastically darker tone than those movies were.
I don't know. I think one of you on the podcast agrees with me. I do not like the Nolan films at all.
I like 1 and 2. I'm not a fan of Rises.
Coach, how do you feel about the Nolan films?
Okay, so I love the first one because I like that origin story. And then the second one is my favorite superhero movie. Next to, let's see, Avengers, not Endgame, but what's the Infinity War?
Yeah.
Because that Thor moment, when he comes out of nowhere, there's no better scene in cinema history than that. And I don't care when Rocky knocked out, what's his face? Mr. T.
Creed? Oh,
no, Mr. T. But anyways, I really like the first two, and I don't know what drugs he was on for the third one because it didn't make sense. He veered left really bad on the third one. But the trailer, it was good. I'm still hesitant because Robert Pattinson he just doesn't. He doesn't feel.
No, he doesn't fit the part.
No. Now, we might get into next year. Is it a 2021 or 22 release?
21.
Yep.
We might get into next year and we go to the theaters and watch it and it blows us away and we're like, wow, okay, we were wrong on that, which I hope it is. But yeah, I want to see more Riddler than Joker.
Yeah, I do too. And I do want to say, we're trashing on Robert Pattinson. It's really, truly not because of the Twilight movies. It's just the way he looks. It's his demeanor and the way he looks. Because
at the end, he looks strung out. Like I even asked Austin, dude. I'm like, does he have mental issues? You think he's like struggling with mental issues? Like, because that last scene at the end, he looks like he's like out there.
Well, honestly, I don't think you're necessarily wrong. I mean, considering the life he had, I think that might kind of be what they're aiming for with this film, is like seeing the struggles of Batman. So I think that could be interesting.
Well, he's definitely unhinged. Like when we saw him beat up that thug, he like really beats the crap out of him. Like he breaks his skull on the pavement. Like he's really a violent Batman, and I like that because it's different. We don't get to see that often. Yeah. We did see that with Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck's Batman was very brutal, but this one just seems more dark, gritty. But I think the reason you think he looks so strung out is because he's wearing the eye makeup. And I actually really love this scene with him wearing the eye makeup, because if you watch in all the other Batman movies, they're all wearing the eye makeup, which covers, from where the cowl goes to the eyeball, it makes it black. But when they take off the cowl, that makeup's not there. So we're not used to seeing that. But in this movie, he actually has that across his face when he takes off his cowl. So I think that's actually a really cool thing. And yeah, he like I said, he really doesn't fit the part, and that's the problem. It's not because of Twilight. Like, 'cause I actually do think he's a decent actor. Like when you watch him in Harry Potter, like he's a decent actor. He's a good actor. But it's just a very weird casting. Now he might go into this movie and blow us all away. I really hope he does, because I liked what I saw from the trailer. I think he has good acting skills. It's just it's me getting over the hurdle of, this dude does not look like a Bruce Wayne. He looks more like a Robin or a Nightwing or like you said, Terry McGinnis. But
okay, I got a two-parter for you. Okay. All right. Part one. What did you think of the end of Man of Steel when Superman had to kill Zod? What did you think of that? Did that bother you?
No, it didn't bother me.
How about you, Austin?
It didn't bother me.
No, it didn't really bother me. I don't know that much about Superman. I've never really read his comics, so it wasn't really a problem for me.
Because a lot of people had issues with that.
Yeah.
It didn't me, because I get into him, but I don't take him that serious. And to me, this was just a different version of Superman, just a different version. And he had to do what he had to do.
Right.
Now, what if this Batman actually kills somebody?
It's completely different. I think it's completely different. If this Batman, it doesn't follow, like, that would be like Spider-Man not being based off of spiders, and calling it Spider-Man. Like Batman's code is what makes him Batman.
Right. It's
not the costume. It's his code. That's the whole point of Batman, is that he's better than the criminals. So essentially, if he goes on a killing spree, it's not a Batman movie anymore. I mean, you're so far detached from the source material that, like, you basically just got a guy in a black suit that it's a vigilante. I think it's much different than Superman, because I think a lot of people don't know that about Superman, that he doesn't like to kill, but Superman will kill. Like he'll like, Batman will do everything he can not to destroy even the worst bad guys that threaten the DC universe. But Superman will like he'll straight up like punch holes in the main villain's chests and stuff like that. Like he will kill people. He will destroy things. Now he tries not to, obviously, but he will do it. My thing with the Zod scene was, it wasn't so much that he killed Zod at the end of the movie that bothered me. It was that he didn't have to. He could have done any other thing at that point. And if him killing Zod was him trying to protect the people that were in front of Zod, it didn't make any sense because that he literally took the laser right over their heads. Like that whole scene doesn't make any sense. You could have flew in the air and broke his neck.
Yeah.
That scene didn't make sense. But was that your two-parter, or do you have another part?
Yeah, that was it, because they kind of went away from who Superman was when he killed Zod, I think. And there was a lot of controversy with that amongst the, our nerddom, community.
Right.
But as long as they stay true to the character, I don't mind changes, little bits of changes. Now, so let's go back to the third Batman, Rises. The whole way they introduced Robin, that was a joke, dude.
It was stupid.
That was like the worst thing. Like,
I hated that so much.
Yeah. And
because they really didn't even introduce Robin. Like he drew a Batman symbol on the building, and then he's like, "What's your name?" "Oh, Robin."
Right.
Okay. That's it. All right. Well, sure. Whatever, dude.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that movie. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's Elijah that doesn't like those movies. I'm not sure. If I had to choose one of the Nolan movies to watch, it's going to be the first one. That's the one I like the most. But I just don't like any of those movies, to be honest. I think Anne Hathaway is a good Catwoman, though.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But any closing thoughts on the Batman? Any other thoughts on it?
No, I can't wait to see the next trailer and get more information on it. I'm like, I purposely didn't want to hear any news leading up to it, and so, but I was pleased. I still have reservations, but
Same here. I was pleasantly surprised. So let's move on to the next biggest announcement, I think, which is the announcement of Gotham Knights from who is it? Montreal? Montreal?
WB Montreal.
Yeah, because Rocksteady's making the Suicide Squad game, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So WB Montreal, the makers of Arkham Origins, they're making a new game in the Batman universe, the Batman Arkham universe, Gotham Knights, which takes place after Batman has quote unquote died. So first off, what do we think of this concept? Batman's dead. It's the Bat family going after the Court of Owls, because to me it doesn't make sense in the timeline of the Arkham series.
Well, sorry, I think Coach might be about to say.
Go ahead.
But it's not set in the Arkham verse. That the Suicide Squad is.
Oh, really? I thought Gotham Knights was set in the Arkham verse.
No, Gotham Knights is like a spinoff. They confirmed that it's not related to the last 4 games.
Okay, well that makes sense then. So in that case, I have no problems with this concept.
Yeah, because I had that same qualm at first when they announced it. I was like, okay, well, Barbara Gordon is not Oracle, but Batman is dead. Like what? So that doesn't really work. And then the whole Red Hood thing, I was like, that doesn't really connect.
Yeah,
but,
it made no sense. They should have come out and said that originally, because it does look just like the Arkham games.
It does. They're wearing the same outfits.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne looks exactly the same as he does in the Arkham games. So that's what made me think that it was part of the Arkham series. But I guess, that's very strange to me. But what do you guys think of the concept? The 4-player co-op, 2 to 4-player co-op, the Bat family, Batman's supposedly not in it.
I was shocked because, we came in kind of knowing from the leak that Suicide Squad was going to be the games as a service type thing. But I was not expecting this game to be, not about Batman at all and about, the Bat family and co-op of all things, 2-player co-op. I think it's awesome.
I do too. I agree.
I think, I understand why people are upset from one point of view as far as like, where's Batman? Why is this not a Batman game? But we've gotten 4 really good Batman games. And I think it's time for these characters to shine a little bit. I think Nightwing, awesome character. Red Hood, who we've barely seen in the Arkham games, awesome character. Even Batgirl and Robin, we have these 4 awesome characters that we really have not seen that much, in the past Arkham games. Not that this is an Arkham game, but it's similar enough.
Was Batwoman in the trailer?
No, just Batgirl.
Oh, it was just Batgirl. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think the idea of these 4 characters coming together and being able to play the whole thing co-op, it looks like it's kind of a newer Assassin's Creed style game where there's like the levels and it's kind of an RPG, but still like open world beat 'em up type thing. I think it looks just phenomenal. And it I would have been excited for a new Batman game, but this completely blew my expectations like over the edge. Like this is much more exciting than a new Batman game for me.
I agree. This looks awesome. Go ahead, Coach.
Okay, so you knew I was waiting, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so of course this is one of my favorite series all time, and I go back to when I first started making videos on YouTube in 2012. I made a video expressing my thoughts about how Rocksteady needs to make make a game based on like either Nightwing or Green Arrow. I think a Green Arrow would be freaking awesome, but fast forward to now, 8 years later, seeing this happen just like blew me away. Being so excited to play as any of these characters and be able to experience something different. So you could play this game 4 different times and have fun doing it 4 different times with different characters. It looks good. At first, we didn't know, like just watching the trailer, I didn't know what system it was going to be on, but it's going to be on all 4. So PS4, PS5, and of course the Xbox Series, the 20 different Xboxes that are going to be out there, and of course PC. But I'm very cautious because if we remember, last time WB Montreal did a game, there was some controversy because, and it wasn't, I don't think it was based on WB Montreal as much as WB as the publisher, because there were some technical issues that they didn't fix. And they were focusing on the DLC, the story DLC, which worked out because the story DLC didn't have the issues in the game.
What was the story DLC for Origins again?
It was when he got the new suit, and it was I don't know. Do I want to say it was Mr. Freeze? I think it was Mr. Freeze. Yeah, it was Mr. Freeze. Yeah. So, and it was really good. Like every game in the series has been phenomenal. So WB Montreal, I do trust them because they ported Arkham City to the Wii U, and they added the Armored Edition, which is really cool. It's like a power up after you get a certain combo, sets of combos in. And so I'm excited. And then it's like Gears, right? You could play by yourself, which is going to be fun, but it's funner when you play as in co-op. Now, I hope that the one thing about Gears is those levels, right? Or the chapters, they're pretty long. Because remember, we would stream those on like Friday nights or whatever, Austin, and they would take almost 2 hours to do a chapter. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the same with Gotham Knights, that these chapters are going to be long.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised by that. I think first I want to read into the Court of Owls because I know nothing about.
Oh, you haven't read the Court of Owls?
No, I know literally nothing.
Oh, so good, so good.
Yeah.
So I want to do that before the game, but I was going to say my only complaint, which maybe it's a technical issue, which understandably so. The game looks really, really good, and it seems to be open world, so maybe that's a problem, but. The fact that there are 4 characters, but it's only a 2-player co-op is a little bit disappointing.
I thought it was 2 to 4.
No, it's only 2.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah. So, because it would be awesome, obviously, if like all 4 of us could play together and play this game all the way through. It'd be really neat. So,
well, we kind of can because like me and Seth could pair up, and you and Elijah could pair up or something, and we could stream on the YouTube channel, and then we could stream on Twitch. So.
Yeah, so I guess I'll give my opinions on it.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, so I think first off, I think the biggest hurdle that this game's going to come over isn't going to be that's made by WB Montreal. I think the biggest hurdle it's going to come over is the fact that people are going to think this is connected to the Arkhamverse, because I did, and I'm a high-end video game news reader, and I think that most people buying this game are probably going to assume it takes place in the Arkham universe. And that's going to cause a few issues. The only other complaint I have before I can jump into the positive stuff is Batgirl's outfit. I hate it. I hate it simply because it takes inspiration from her New 52 remake where they made her not look like a vigilante warrior that she is. They made her look like a little girl. I hate that.
Who?
Batgirl. Barbara
Okay.
Gordon. Yeah. In the New 52, towards the middle it was like the middle of her run in the New 52, they changed her outfit because her old outfit was like very tight and like that she was wearing high heels and people thought they were sexualizing. I never thought that. I thought she was like a badass, but I hated her. I hated the way that her art and outfit switched. I think it's her worst outfit by far. Now they did end up giving her in the last couple of years a more modernized, more cool outfit that I think is better for her. And this outfit in the game kind of takes inspiration from both of them. She doesn't look like a little kid. She doesn't look like a badass warrior from like she did in DLC for Arkham Knight. But there's a nice middle ground there. It's not terrible. It's just not my favorite part. I think every other character looks amazing. The environments look amazing. The combat looks awesome. And the story looks awesome. I cannot wait for this game, guys. I'm super, super excited for it. Hopefully, we don't have to wait too long. I'm anticipating it's probably going to come out in the winter, but I'm hoping it comes out in the spring or summer. I would really love for it to come out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it is probably now my most anticipated game of upcoming the next generation. Now we got to figure out, boys, what console we're getting it for. Because if you guys don't want to, if you guys aren't jumping into the co-op and committing, I'm probably gonna get it on PC. But if you guys want to play co-op, I'll get it on PS4. So or PS5 probably.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out PS4, PS5, PC. We got to figure out where we're at, where we can all play together. Because I am 100% down to like get nasty with this game. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going. I love all these characters. Like. As in the Batman comics, I love the Bat family more than I love Batman. When it comes to like Jason Todd and Dick Grayson and Tim Drake, and dude, these characters are so cool and their outfits are awesome. And yeah, Jason Todd with the guns and stuff like that. Man, I'm really, really excited. And the Court of Owls is a great story. It's one of Batman's best stories, and I'm super, super hyped for it. So.
And also, I know I kind of put this in our chat too, is I highly recommend, if you can, read Battle for the Cowl.
Oh, yeah, Battle for the Cowl is great.
Because I'm not saying that Batman is going to come back. I mean, I don't know.
100%.
But here's the thing. Remember with the last game, Arkham Knight, they tried to blow up the Arkham Knight. Like he's this new character.
Yeah.
And then what do they say? Your pre-order bonus is a skin for the Red Hood. And everyone's like, okay, come on, man. I mean, like, let's not make it so obvious who the Arkham Knight is.
I remember very specifically me and you arguing on the podcast, Coach, because it was so clear to me that it was going to be the Red Hood. And you were like, oh, no, they promised it was going to be a new character. And
I know.
And then before the game even came out, they spoiled the whole freaking story.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
I will say this, though. Out of all the Bat family, I think it would be the coolest and probably the easiest where you could do homemade is to put together an Arkham Knight costume, because a lot of it is military, Oh,
yeah, it was very realistic. It was very realistic.
So
I liked it a lot.
Those two, and if you guys haven't, I highly recommend this too. Watch the DC animated movie Batman Bad Blood, because that has everybody. It has Batman, Robin, but Damian. It has Nightwing, Batgirl, Batwoman. They introduced Batwoman and then Batwing. So they have all 6. And I just think that for DC, they missed on an opportunity to have a kick-ass series, a weekly series of the Bat family. I think that would have been huge. I mean, I love the first 2 seasons of Young Justice, and the third season was good too. But again, they tried to instill too many, political views or whatever. But third season was still good. But I really think they missed an opportunity to do something with the Bat family where they don't need Batman, and they could just focus on characters that we don't see a lot, like Batwoman, right? Yeah. And Batwing, because they got good stories. Both of those two have really good backstories that I think would be interesting. And I think people would enjoy, watching it in animated form. So.
And just one last thing before we talk about Suicide Squad, because I know we're running long. My prediction: Batman's faking his death, 100%.
Oh,
same.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
For sure.
It's like the oldest Batman trope there is. He's faking it. But let's talk about the last big announcement. Suicide Squad. We got it was probably 4-minute trailer, all completely CGI, and it basically is just Harley Quinn, the shark dude, what's his name?
King Shark,
Boomerang, and Deadshot on a roof, just joking around and killing a couple monsters. Then Superman shows up, and I'll say, as far as CG trailers goes, it's a high quality CG trailer. Didn't give us any information whatsoever about the game.
No.
But the biggest reveal about this trailer was that it's 2 years away, at least. Dude.
Yep.
What kind of crack were they smoking where they're like, let's announce this game and give it a release date 2 years from now?
Well, I think a lot of it, Seth, is the fact that everybody has been asking, what the hell is Rocksteady doing? So I think this was them giving us a bone, like, okay, so this is what's going on. We could file it away back in our minds, like, okay, this is coming. We could focus on Gotham Knights. And then once we're done playing Gotham Knights and they're making their money, and after the DLC, now we can start focusing on Suicide Squad.
I just have a feeling that this is going to be one of those games that does not go away for 2 years, and by the time it comes out, we're all going to be sick of it, and everyone's going to be mad.
Yeah,
because the hype around it's already not great. Like, it's a Suicide Squad game. It might be a games as a service. Like, we don't really know. Superman and Brainiac. Well, Brainiac appears to be the main villain, and Superman, he's probably controlling Superman in some way. But man, I'll tell you what, this trailer did nothing for me. I am still not excited or hyped for this game whatsoever. I don't care. And stop showing me just CGI trailers. It's the worst thing they do in gaming, dude. I hate it so much. You didn't even show me what the game looked like. You just showed me a trailer that gave me no information, no story. You just gave me a release date. I don't care. I don't care.
I don't know if did you watch the live stream, or you went back and just watched the trailer after?
I just went back and watched the trailer.
Okay, good. Because if you were watching the live stream after that trailer, you got to sit through 10 minutes of freaking, what's the guy that plays Lego Batman? What's his name? Will Arnett. Sitting there talking to the 4 Suicide Squad characters, and their little like pictures are showing up on the screen, and they're just bantering, and like it's nothing. It's just like they're sitting there like talking like there are these characters in this game for like 10 minutes. It was awful. Absolutely awful.
There's a right way and there's a wrong way to announce video games. This was the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
I don't care about CGI trailers, dude, at all. Back when I was a kid, I was like, oh, wow, this looks really cool. Hopefully this is what the game looks like. I know better now. I know, like, this is not what the game's going to look like. I need to know what the game's going to look like. I need to know the perspective. I need to know the gameplay. I need to know, like, if this is games as a service, how does it work? Because that's the rumor, and it's turning a lot of people off. Like, they should have cleared this up, and they should have kept their mouth shut for another 6 months to a year. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, so I liked the trailer. I thought it was fine. I thought it was just what I expected. You know, we got the interactions, and it's just Suicide Squad. Like it looked like what I expected.
I could have made that trailer up in my mind.
It could have been an animated movie trailer for all we care.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing I was more excited for was after they did that 10-minute dialogue story, whatever the heck they were trying to do with that was awful. One of the devs from Rocksteady came out, and he was talking, and I was like sitting there like, okay, what are they going to tell us? Are they going to tell us it's games as a service? And we really didn't get anything. Like, the only thing we got was he said it would be more gunplay focused, which is interesting.
Well, it has to be.
Yeah, of course. And he said, obviously 1 to 4 players, and then that it was set in the Arkham universe.
So do you imagine it being something like Division?
Yes.
I imagine it being something like Marvel Avengers.
I don't even know what that's about. So
Marvel Avengers is basically a mission structure. You choose your hero, you go in, and go up. That's how I think. In my mind, it has to play like Marvel Avengers. There's no way it can be like the Division, where it's like an open world. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't know how this game works, because they didn't show me anything, and I don't know how it becomes successful, because I think the Suicide Squad is DC's weakest property.
Yeah.
So, rating wise, I mean, they're obviously popular, but I think writing wise, dude, I can't name you a single good Suicide Squad story. It's all the same. It's like, okay, here's Harley Quinn bantering with Deadshot because they don't like each other, except sometimes they hook up and have a romantic interest for an issue or a 10-minute scene. And then we got King Shark, just doing his King Shark thing where he's angry all the time.
And Boomerang being the
comic
bonehead to everyone.
Yeah, Boomerang being like the weak Yamcha comic relief. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, we know all these characters. We know how they're going to interact. I just feel like the CG trailer was not needed. We didn't need this. We already knew these characters. We know exactly. They never change. They've been the same for 20 years, ever since they made Harley Quinn an anti-hero. And it's like,
they shouldn't have revealed it.
No, they should have revealed it.
It was too early.
That's all there is to it. Until they
could have waited until the video game awards,
I mean, that's I still think that's too early, dude. When you give me a release date that's 2 years in the future, I just check out. I'm like, you know what? I don't care anymore. Like that's just the thing. I don't care. It's too far away, and I just think that this game is doomed to fail from Jump Street. And my opinion on that has not changed based on this 4-minute CGI trailer that I could have made up in my mind.
Because let me ask you guys this. Do you think people want to play as Suicide Squad? I mean, like, the only one that people are going to want to play is Harley Quinn. But, like, are there any characters on there that you're going to be like, yeah, like, this, I'm doing this?
No, dude. No, there's not. None of those characters sound fun to play. You could argue that Deadshot could be fun to play if there's really good gunplay in it. But can we really make that assumption? Yeah, so the characters, I think Deadshot would be if there's fun gunplay.
Okay, that's not working.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, and we were trying to make it seamless, but it didn't go over well. So,
but we were talking about the relevance and how fun these characters would be to play. Austin, I know you dropped that a couple of seconds before, and basically the consensus is that, like, Harley Quinn, I think, could be fun to play to a certain extent. Maybe.
Yeah.
But like, unless there's like good shooting mechanics, I don't see Deadshot, King Shark, or Boomerang being fun, like, at all to play as in Suicide Squad.
And I'm really curious about that because he said it would be more shooting based, but I'm curious what exactly that means. Like, is this a full on third person shooter, or what is this game?
And that's the problem.
Yeah, and I agree. But the reason I bring that up is obviously this is Rocksteady. This is a company known for making beat 'em ups. Like, I'm not saying they don't have the resources to make a good kind of third person shooter if that's what this is, but I'm just kind of curious how that turns out.
Well, I'm sure it'll be good because remember, Retro went first person to an amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
Platformer in Donkey Kong Country.
Well,
I have zero faith this game's gonna be good.
Here's what I'll say about that right quick is that I didn't bring this up in the show in the beginning of the show because I didn't play enough of it, but I did try the Avengers beta this weekend. And the shooting mechanics are not good at all. And you can really tell that this game is just not really flowing.
Yeah, dude, I have heard a resounding "this is mediocre" from across the internet.
Yeah, like the gameplay is all over the place because the problem is, like, Hulk is just a beat 'em up character. Then you switch to Iron Man, which is like a mix between Hulk and kind of Black Widow, and then you have Black Widow that's like trying to play like a third person shooter type thing, and there's just nothing feels right. So that's my concern with Suicide Squad, honestly, is it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I just don't see how this game plays any different than the Avengers. I feel like it has to play the exact same way. I mean, obviously not the exact same, but in a very similar way. So it's very strange that these two games are coming out alongside each other. I think Avengers is going to flop.
Yep.
And I think Suicide Squad might flop as well. I think DC really overestimates how popular Suicide Squad is, because Harley Quinn's obviously very popular. People do like Harley Quinn quite a bit, especially when she came into the Suicide Squad movie and they picked the hottest woman possible to play Harley Quinn. Like come on, let's be straight here.
Everyone likes her now.
Everyone's a big fan of Margot Robbie. Yeah, watch Wolf of Wall Street. You won't be disappointed. But I just think that, like, Harley Quinn's not enough to sell me on the Suicide Squad game, dude. Especially when, like, she's only possibly 1/4 of the game, and it's just like I mean, I don't like Harley Quinn to begin with, but I don't know, Coach. What do you think?
I think that, remember, probably in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, that game City of Heroes and City of Villains.
Oh yeah, those games sucked.
Okay, so I never played it, but I had a couple friends that were like, they were all about that.
Yeah, I really.
But the one thing that I thought was interesting is you could make your own hero or your own villain.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they should have done something like that. I don't know how difficult that would have been, but I think it would be more interesting to make your own player, given its own powers, instead of playing as Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Well, they did that, and it was DC Universe Online.
And that game is fun for like a couple hours until
it's not.
But isn't that a whatchamacallit?
It's an MMO, yeah. It's an MMO. But no, I'm just joking around. But you can make your own character in that game, but it's honestly not very good. I didn't enjoy my time with DC Universe, but I was just gonna say right quick before we move off the DC event, the stuff they announced about the new Flash movie kind of has me interested.
Yeah, Ben Affleck coming back as Batman is interesting.
Yeah,
because it's Flashpoint, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and supposedly Michael Keaton as well.
Yo, how awesome would it be if the reason the new Batman is so brutal is because it's Thomas Wayne and not Bruce Wayne?
Oh man,
because they're showing the red bat symbol, right? And that's Thomas Wayne's bat suit. I know it's not real, but how awesome would it be if
that would have been awesome? Yeah,
and the Joker squad is from Martha Wayne because she's she's Joker. That would be a really cool concept, dude.
Yep.
They're not going to do that, but I wish they would.
No, yeah, I it would be cool. I don't know. I'm like a sucker for Flashpoint for some reason. Like no matter how many times I do it, I just love that story. Even the way they did it on the CW show, I thought was really well done. So
did you see the animated movie? Yeah. So this is the thing, because DC and their movies, they struck out bad because Marvel already had something established, and DC felt that they needed to catch up to them, which is totally false. They could have gone their own speed and done what they wanted to do and create their own cinematic universe.
Yep.
But hopefully they use this to create their own cinematic universe and not worry about Marvel and just do their own thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time, and maybe we can just wrap up here, but this is the first time I feel like I've been overly excited about pretty much everything DC has moving forward.
Especially the Flashpoint movie gives them a chance to start over, and I think that's very important because they've ran this into the ground and they haven't done a good job, and maybe they can start over now and do it right. Yep.
So we'll see, but yeah, I thought the Fandome event overall was really well done. I thought they really did show a lot of cool stuff. I thought it was a really neat concept to kind of blend the games and comics and movies all into one event, because I feel like if you're a fan of one, you're a fan of all. So why not just do it all at one time?
Yep, I agree.
But anyway, we'll do one last news topic since we're running a bit long today. But I wanted to talk about the kind of reports going around this week that Nintendo is planning on releasing a new upgraded Switch next year. The article I pulled this from specifically was on Bloomberg, so that's where this information I'm about to tell you is from. But they said in their article basically that they had spoken with people familiar with the matter, and they told Bloomberg that yes, there's an upgraded Switch model releasing next year, and that while the specifications have not exactly been finalized, they have looked into more computing power and 4K, which is interesting. And then the last kind of tidbit here is that the reason this year has been so quiet for Nintendo is because they're saving a lot of huge titles for next year with the launch of this new upgraded Switch. So I wanted to talk about this quick because Coach and I frequently call each other on the phone and we're like, what's Nintendo doing? Because this year...
How often is this conversation happening?
Oh, every 30 minutes.
Because we'll be like, oh, bro, I forgot to tell you.
Have you guys seen any updates? Any updates?
Where are the updates? No, but legitimately though,
How
I mean,
often does this? That was priceless.
Nintendo's had a decent first start this year. You know, they had Paper Mario, they had Animal Crossing, they had Xenoblade remastered. It's not like there have been no games, but moving forward, we literally know nothing that's coming out this fall at all. We have nothing. So, well, Coach and I, like I said, we talk about this and we're like, you know, what's the deal? What's going on? So, you know, maybe that's why, is because they're saving all these games for next year, but let alone the whole Switch upgrade thing. The 4K thing is a little bothersome to me. I can't imagine Nintendo doing 4K because that just doesn't really. I feel like if they try to do that with a portable system, that just doesn't work.
Right, I agree.
And it's unnecessary.
It might work if they do what we originally thought they were going to do, and the dock actually powers up.
Yeah,
you know, but who knows?
Yeah,
That's
and
gonna be a thing.
you know, and I'm curious what happens because I think it's pretty obvious at this point the Switch is relatively underpowered compared to other systems. But to me, that's not a big deal because I don't really play those same games on the Switch that I would be playing on the other systems.
Yep.
But obviously, with PS5 and Series X coming out, it's going to be even a bigger kind of gap between the Switch and those new systems. So maybe that's what they're trying to do is upgrade the Switch so at least games like I don't even know what's coming out next gen games can be ported to this new upgraded Switch or whatever it is. But what do you guys think about this? I mean, would you be interested in an upgraded Switch? Is this something that you think would do well for Nintendo? What are you guys thinking?
Well, yeah. The question is, though, are you going to be able to? So, for instance, are you going to be able to play whatever new games come out on your original Switch? That's the big question. Because I think that will burn a lot of people because it's only been 3 years, right? Or I'd say 3.5, going on 3.5 years of the Switch. So the question is like, and also, is the upgrade going to be the minimal upgrade that we got, you know, with just the battery life? Or will it be something like the PS4 to the PS4 Pro?
Right.
You know, that's where it comes into question. So if it's true that they're, you know, saving everything for next year, then this seems like it might be a really big upgrade. Maybe even, I don't know if it'd be a Switch 2, could be a Switch Pro, but it'll be interesting to see. I mean, of course I'll get it, especially if, you know, games will look better like Breath of the Wild, the original Breath of the Wild. It won't have the stuttering. And like what we were talking about on the regular phone. The Link's Awakening too. You know, that stutter that you would get.
I'll tell you guys, I wouldn't be mad if it was just a home console. And it's like, if you want to play your more powerful 4K games,
that'd be interesting.
You go. You know, and like, you know, it's just, they call it the Switch Home or something like that. And like I said, if you want to play your more powerful games, here you go.
Honestly, I hadn't really thought about that.
And have fun. I think that's the way to go, because here's the thing, man, is that this is a problem that started back in 2005 when Nintendo launched the Wii without HD.
Yep.
Right. This is a problem that they've been trying to fix ever since. And when they did that with the Wii, and they released an underpowered console that was focused more on the experience of playing it than the actual graphics and power, and the PS3 and Xbox 360 ended up leaving in the dust, Nintendo could no longer get the third-party support because devs would have to make a completely separate game for the Wii. So they ended up making the Wii U in a mid-generation point, made it slightly stronger than the PS3 and Xbox 360, which got overshadowed by the PS4 and Xbox One. And then, you know, halfway through, they released the Switch again, which is, you know, you can play the PS4 and Xbox One games, a little underpowered. But now, you know, a couple years later, again, it's even the next generation, and Nintendo cannot isn't going to be able to play the new game. So, like, in my opinion, the thing to do to fix this is to just drop a $600 console, reset yourself. It's going to suck for the Switch owners, but reset yourself and fix it, because otherwise you're going to keep going in this cycle where they release these mid-generation things and they're going to have trouble getting games. You could argue that's not the case for Nintendo, but Nintendo's really struggling getting, you know, third-party games that are coming to every other console right now because developers, again, just don't want to make a lower-powered separate game for them. And I think that also another problem is that like they tend to do this when they're releasing a new console, is that they just kind of stop announcing things and stop releasing games. They did this for the Wii U as well, and for like they did it for like a year and a half. They got no games. Switch is still getting games. It's still getting third-party support, but the reason people buy Nintendo consoles is for Nintendo first-party games. That's how it's been since probably the Wii. I mean, the GameCube didn't really have that issue. It got a lot of third-party support, but ever since the Wii, it's pretty much just been a first-party machine. And I think that by just going silent, you're kind of just spitting in the face of your most loyal supporters, because I don't know if you guys remember this, is a long time ago, but they announced Breath of the Wild as a Wii U game.
Yep.
And back then, I was like, I think it's probably going to come to the Wii U and the Switch. And I think, Austin, I think you were the one that said, well, they would never do that because it would be a giant middle finger to the people that waited for it. And that's exactly what they ended up doing. And I think that what we're going to see is probably a similar situation where, not the exact same situation, but they're just going to go silent on the Switch, and then they'll release a Switch Pro or whatever. And I think, to answer your question, Coach, I can't imagine that they would be dumb enough to make it not play Switch games. If this is even true, this seems pretty reliable, but I think that they would be out of control not to allow people to play their Switch games, because it just came out 4 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I think he's saying like the Switch can't play the pro games, I think is what.
Oh yeah, I would imagine that there's probably going to be exclusive games to this console.
Yeah, which they did that too with the new 3DS, because Xenoblade 3D was only playable on new 3DS, and so was, I think it was Hyrule. No, not Hyrule Warriors. It was Fire Emblem Warriors.
No, Hyrule Warriors was on both, but you couldn't play it on.
Wasn't it like a Metroid Prime or a Metroid game that was exclusive?
No.
No.
You're high.
But yeah, I'm really curious. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with my Switch. I don't necessarily need an upgrade. I think for me, like I said, the 4K thing doesn't particularly make sense if they're still trying to do a handheld. But if it's something like Seth said, like a home console, it would make sense to go that route. But I will say, I think it'd be kind of neat if all that this was a dock, and it was literally just a dock, and they were like, hey, look, like, we know you all already have a Switch, buy this dock, and it'll make it stronger.
Yep, I agree.
Which I think would be awesome, because that turns it into more of a modular type setup, and that like you said, it doesn't give a big middle finger to the 60 million people that already own Switches. It's a more of a, hey, look, like, you can make your Switch even better than it is.
Yeah, I think releasing a standalone console right now would just be a huge mistake for Nintendo.
It's too early, but then again, think of it. What add-ons have sold well for any system?
That's true.
So the 32X, right? For the Sega Genesis?
Yeah.
Did that sell well?
I was going to say, are you saying that sold well? I was going to say, I don't think so.
No. And then there was the other one. There was there was 2 add-ons that you could put on the Sega Genesis. Oh, Sega CD. That's it. And I guess, I don't know, you have to be careful, because if you're going to do add-ons, you have to make sure that you're going to support it, and it's going to be worth the money that people are going to pay for it.
Yep.
That's true. That's a good point. Because then it does become hey, I already have a Switch. Why would I need to upgrade it a little bit?
One add-on that Nintendo, the Super Game Boys were amazing. And then also the Game Boy Player for the GameCube was really, those were like spot on amazing, because you just screw it into the bottom, and now you have a true cube. And then now you can play your entire Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy library.
Yeah, like I said, I would really like to see a 4K upgrade dock or something along those lines.
Yeah.
There's something optional to keep them in line with the rest of the competition. It really sucks that we're going to be going into this next generation, and these new engines and, the ray tracing, they look so good. And in the Switch, I feel like we still see games that feel like they're in the Wii era sometimes.
Right.
Graphically, they just don't look impressive.
But then you see games like not Warzone, but what was that free-to-play game that came out about 6 months ago?
Warframe.
Yes, Warframe. Everyone says that looks amazing. Like, that game looks beautiful.
I don't know why people like that game, to be honest with you. Just straight up, I hate that game. I don't know why people like it. Have you tried it, Austin?
Like 5 minutes. Not enough to really say that I tried it.
I'm like, this sucks.
I guess the tree is like, really, you got to...
Well, I was going to say, though, like Seth said, Nintendo struggles a little bit to kind of get those games brought over third-party wise, especially on the Switch now with kind of the power differential between the systems. But I will say, even though they have a hard time bringing them over, I feel like a lot of the really big Switch fans are typically really excited for those ports.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree.
Like Doom came out, and I know a lot of people on Switch bought that. Same thing with Skyrim, and then Witcher 3, I know a lot of people were really into. And for me, like, I'm not in that audience because I have a PS4 Pro, I have a PC. Like, I wouldn't ever buy those games on Switch, but obviously if they upgraded to allow, PS5 games, Series X games to be ported, I still think that audience would really support those titles. So I think either way, whatever they're going to do, I'm hoping it turns out well.
All right, here's food for thought. Has Doom Eternal come out for the Switch yet?
No.
What if they are waiting because they already have whatever kit, what if they're waiting for next spring for the new Switch or the upgraded so that they could better port that game over?
It's possible.
That would be awesome. If you had Breath of the Wild 2 and Doom Eternal as your day one, software that you can buy, that would, I think, help push and sell whatever they're trying to do.
Well, I will say, whatever they do, I know they'll have a game at launch. Like I know with the new 3DS, I bought it because Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and Majora's Mask 3D came out on the same day, and they were both, pretty good on the new 3DS. So hopefully we'll get some pretty big title that really supports the new hardware.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we'll see. This leak has popped up so many times. It's been already spewing for like the last 2 years, but it seems like this time it might be, the real deal. But we'll see if it's actually true. I'm curious, but I wouldn't put it past Nintendo. I mean, they're so well known to just revision their consoles over and over and over and over again. So we shall see. But I think that about does it for this week, unless anyone else has anything they want to talk about.
No, I just want to say I missed you guys, and it's good to be back.
Missed you too, man.
Miss you too, buddy.
So, all right. As always, don't forget you can find Frameskip on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher, TuneIn, wherever. You'll find us. You're already listening to the show, so you have found us, but you can find us elsewhere if you want to change your platform for some reason, like a heretic. Make sure you leave a review for us if you're on Apple Podcasts. And I want to say Stitcher, you can leave reviews as well. And certainly Podbean, of course, our home base. Leave reviews for us if you can. They're really helpful. They help get the show out there and kind of expose us to a new audience. Speaking of audiences, because we don't normally do this, share the show with your friends. If you have friends that are gamers, that are into DC Comics, whatever it is, share it with them. Tell them, hey, these idiots have a podcast. You should listen to it. Do it. Yeah. Share it with them.
If you care about your friends and you want to make their life genuinely better, hearing my voice will do that to them.
If you want to improve your friends, make them better friends, you have to get them to listen to this show.
Yeah.
So do that. If you want to send in questions, we didn't have any this week. You can do so to our email at frameskippodcast@gmail.com. You can also send in questions on our social media pages. You can find us on Twitter at frameskippod, and you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/frameskippod. Our personal Twitter, Seth is at Seth S. Taylor. Elijah, who's not here, is at Loco Lizardman. I am at Austin J. Eller, and Coach does not exist. So
Not on social. Well, kind of, sort of, but not really. I exist as a teacher, so I have my teacher Twitter where I just keep it teacher stuff. No gaming, no politics, none of that.
So don't try to find Coach because that's his teacher Twitter. And
But
you are not his students. Everyone listening.
That's right.
So,
Well, they might be.
I really hope not.
I know.
Coach, if they're your students, you need to give them
14-year-old kids. Yeah.
No, it would be a problem on Retro Modern because we got out of control. I think we're pretty tame on this show.
That's true. That's true. We're good on here.
Yeah. We didn't get too out of control. Only at times.
Well,
I don't know.
There were
about
certain
that one.
times we said some pretty raunchy things.
We?
Yeah, dude. You were the worst.
I know.
You were the worst out of all of us. You know it.
I know, right?
So yeah,
Good times. Good times.
so Coach's students, if you're listening, share the show with your parents. They'd probably like it.
Absolutely. Hey, Mom, my teacher's a giant nerd.
He loves Batman.
Nothing
All
wrong.
right,
with that.
guys, we will catch up with you again next week. And until then,
Game on.
Howdy hoodah.
cheerio, as Seth said last week. Bye.
Cheerio.